one of the things I've been focusing on and trying to get in my head more, trying to focus on more, again, it's one thing to know something, and it's another thing to do something. Something I've been having in my mind lately, I'll say, is after that video, you know, I did the breakdown of how many grams per day, and it was 600 grams of carbs, 33 grams of fat, and 75 grams of protein for a 3,000 calorie diet on 80-10-10. Those are the numbers. 600 grams of carbs, 33 grams of fat, and 7 grams of protein. So when I first found this out, I was just all over the fat and looking at the fat. And now I'm focusing more on, instead of, you know, that negative calorie mindset that we're all in when we are standard eaters, you know, we're all like, don't eat, you know, don't count, you know, very high. You don't want to go very high in numbers. I think it's much better, you know, like in the past, even before I was vegan, I tried out this little program that I would do where I would just try to eat 9 fruits and vegetables a day. So this was a couple years ago, like I said, way before I ever heard about a fruitarian diet, and I wasn't getting into that low fruit mumbo jumbo. I was trying to do 9 fruits and vegetables a day, and just doing that alone really, really helped me to turn it away from restriction. And I loved it, and I recognized it then, and it was great. And I probably should have kept that more in my mind over the years, but I never restricted fruit. So, but it does. You don't want to be restricting anything. You don't want to be like focused on restricting fat, just like you wouldn't focus on restricting calories, because you never focus on what you don't want. And I'll talk about this more in my Law of Attraction series. I meant to get a video out this week, guys. Sorry, but it just didn't happen. I will get refocused, but I think I needed to just take a little break from YouTube for a little while, just a week, just to kind of get my bearings and go a little bit inward. So like I was saying, I feel better when I'm acting positive. Instead of bashing what you hate, promote what you love. So instead of trying to not get to a certain number of fat, I'm trying to get to the certain number of carbs. Because again, if you're eating a higher percentage of carbs, then your fats can go up a little bit. See how that works? That's what's great about this percentage, you know, way of eating. So I broke it down. I personally still like to do 6 small meals a day. Keep on saying I'm going to do a video on my formula, but it's still kind of in the works, because I realized that it's actually better to try to shoot for 1,000 calorie meal than just limit yourself to 500 and then possibly have to, you know, wait longer for your next meal. It's better to have the fructose there so you can move on, you know, with your day. And so I realized that there's drawbacks in my formula, which is just basically smaller meals. Instead of 1,000 meal in the morning, it's 2 500 calorie meals, you know, and same thing and so on. So I eat a lot, and I kind of attribute this to how I eat so much as well. I don't know, just prefer it. So anyway, since I eat 6 meals a day on average, and I'm looking at about 3,000 calories, like I said here, I'm just going to divide that 600 by 6, and then so for each meal, I'm looking at about 100 grams of carbs. So this is just an easier gauge for me to be able to look at something and say, is this enough carbs? And the first thing I did this with was my spring rolls. My spring roll wrappers are brown rice, so I think they're a little bit higher in carbs than other types of spring rolls because they're thicker. I'm not totally sure about that because I don't have the nutritional information for all the other stuff. I only have mine. So I think I realized, I wrote this down somewhere, but let's see if I can get it off the top of my head here, about 2.5 rice papers was equal to, I think, 11 grams of carbs. So I had to break that down, you know, per meal, and how many would I have to eat? I would have to eat 12 to get about 100 calories. So that's totally doable, although it's kind of pushing it. So, you know, it might be one of the smaller meals. I mean, it doesn't have to be exactly, but I realized that, yeah, that's approximately enough. And so I'm going to continue eating those. Now, if I was going to look at something and say, no, this is not near enough carbs, then I'm going to move on, because I'm shifting my focus, like I said, from no fat or low fat to high carbs. So that's going to, You know, you might have seen me read the labels, fat, 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 and I'm going to try to start looking at carbs more, because I feel like if you have the carbs, you won't want the fat. You won't even need it at all. You won't even worry about it. And that's how I've noticed it in my actual life. So, yep. And so if you want to look at that alternately, you can look at 100 grams of carbs per meal if you're eating 6 meals. Obviously, if you're eating 3 meals, just, you know, you want to aim for about 200 then. And so for 6 meals, it's 5 grams of fat. And for 6 meals, it's 12.5 grams of protein. So that's about what you're looking for any meal. And again, don't get crazy with it. You definitely don't have to stick to any of those. You know, we don't want to be, you know, number Nazis or something. You know, no offense to anybody.